Hi, it's Connecticut personal injury attorney Ryan McKeen, and I'm here with Attorney Betsy Ingraham. And today we're going to talk about birth injuries, and specifically we're going to be talking to grandparents. This video is made for grandparents. So good day, Betsy.
Good afternoon, Ryan.
So Betsy, what might a grandparent want to know about a birth injury?
Well, obviously, grandparents have a very deep connection with their grandchildren, and anything that might affect them, I know, is something that you'd want to know more about and be very deeply involved with. So, a birth injury is when a baby, during the course of delivery, suffers some sort of trauma that causes them to have either cognitive or physical deficits. And so quite often those are things like being unable to walk or talk properly, unable to use one or more of their limbs, or potentially some cognitive deficits in terms of being able to understand and process information.
So how might a grandparent identify a birth injury in a grandchild?
Well, grandparents were parents first, so they have gone through this already. They've already raised children, they've seen the milestones that babies and young children go through, and so a grandparent might be uniquely situated to see what a baby might not be doing up to speed as a baby who wasn't having problems might be doing. So they might have a good basis for comparison to see when a baby might not be meeting milestones or might not be developing the same way that they are used to seeing with their own children, for example.
What are several kinds of birth injuries that grandparents may want to know about?
Well, there's what's called cerebral palsy, which is caused by a deprivation of oxygen to the brain. There's also something called shoulder dystocia, which can happen if a baby is brought out of the delivery using too much force, which causes an arm to get pinned and a stretching of the shoulder muscle to occur, so you might see weakness or inability to use one of the arms. Those are some of the two major ones, and the other ones are related to deprivation of oxygen at birth, which usually causes problems in the brain, either physically or cognitively.
And when you first have a child, I'm a parent, you're a parent, and when you first have a child, it's so overwhelming. Everything is just, it's so overwhelming. And I think in my life, my children's grandparents played a very critical role during that time period. So how might a grandparent talk to their child that when they suspect that there may be a birth injury?
Well, you as the grandparent may be uniquely situated to see that something is wrong sooner than a new mother or a new father who might still be experiencing the sleep deprivation or just shock to the system that new parenthood brings. So you as the grandparent are, as I said, situated to see things that might be going on. So for example, if your daughter or son is telling you about the delivery process and it seems that something didn't go quite right there, or it seems that there was something that was off, or if the baby needed to be brought to the NICU, or not that that always means there's something wrong, but it can be an indication that something happened that shouldn't have, or if you notice perhaps something off about the baby itself that the new parents might not have noticed. That is really a role that the grandparent can play in trying to determine whether or not something has happened that shouldn't have.
And is it normal for grandparents to perhaps research Connecticut birth injury attorneys?
Absolutely. Again, new parents have a lot on their plate. And if you as the grandparents have the time and the ability to look into what might be an appropriate attorney to investigate a claim of birth injury, that's a great role for you to play. You can take off the stress of the new parents.
And what should a grandparent be looking for in a Connecticut birth injury attorney?
Well, you need an attorney who's familiar with the law, of course, who's done cases like this before, who is familiar with the unique medical issues that a birth injury presents, who has the resources and the ability to contact the appropriate experts to get the case reviewed, and someone that you like, someone who you have a connection to, someone that you feel like can take care of you and your family.
And when should a grandparent start reaching out or researching an attorney? And I ask this sort of the question is, there's always time limitations to bring a claim, and those time limitations are called statutes of limitation. And what is the statute of limitation in a Connecticut birth injury case?
Well, in most cases, it'll be 2 years from the date of the birth. So that is when the birth injury would have been suffered during the birth process. So the second birthday of the child would be 2 years from that date, and that would be the time that you would really need to file the lawsuit by. Under certain circumstances, if you don't discover the birth injury until later, you might have a little bit of extra time, but no more than 3 years from the date of the birth. So really that 2-year mark is what you want to aim for, getting something investigated and looked at well before that.
And what are some things that that a grandparent may want to gather for a child or for the birth injury to bring to an initial consultation with a Connecticut birth injury attorney?
You can take a lot of the pressure off the parents by gathering the medical records. If the parents will give you their signatures to do that, you can get the records of both the mother and of the baby, and it'll be something that the personal injury attorneys are going to need to investigate the claim. You have to look at the medical records to see what they say. You need to get those medical records sent out to an expert. So getting the medical records is critical. If that's something that the grandparents can help out with, that would be a great help.
And can grandparents come, say you've got the records, or you don't, because I don't think you have to get the records, because a Connecticut birth injury attorney can get those records for you.
Sure.
So you can that can be taken off the plate. But can a grandparent come to an initial consultation?
Absolutely. We welcome whoever would like to speak with us. I think, it can be really helpful to have another pair of eyes and ears there to hear what the lawyer has to say. So that's absolutely something that we would encourage.
And Betsy, you've handled Connecticut birth injuries. If somebody wanted to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do so?
Well, the best way to do so is to email me at my email address, which is Betsy, Betsy, at cttrialfirm, all one word, cttrialfirm.com, or they can call us at 860-471-8333.
And we'll put all that information along with a link to Attorney Ingram's biography in the comments of this. So if you need to reach out to her for anything or any question that you may have as a grandparent who suspects that their grandchild may have suffered a birth injury, you may be the person who's best able to help. And you can reach out to Betsy, and she'll answer any specific question that she can about your case.
Yes, I'd be happy to.